You ever see a brand you love just pop up on a shelf in a different country? Or notice how some tech companies feel like they're literally everywhere at once? Well, that's not magic. It's actually a series of incredibly high-stakes, calculated decisions. So today, we're going to open up the playbook these global giants use to take on the world. And really, it all boils down to this one single question. I mean, when companies decide to go international, the risks are just massive, but so are the rewards. The line between a global success story and a total cautionary tale often comes down to one little word. And yep, that word is strategy. This isn't about getting lucky or rolling the dice. It's about a deliberate, carefully thought-out plan. You can think of strategy as the art of making the right calls to use what you're good at, outsmart your competition, and, well, win. All right, so here's our game plan. First, we'll hit the basics of what strategy even is. Then we'll look at the really tricky challenges of taking a business global. After that, we'll get into the nitty-gritty of how companies actually break into new markets. And we'll wrap it all up with the single most important trade-off that every single one of them has to face. Okay, first things first. Before you can even dream about conquering the world, you need a rock-solid plan right here at home. So this is where we need to look at the essential frameworks that help a company figure out its place in the universe. So this right here, this is a classic tool that pretty much every business student learns about. Porter's 5 forces. Think of it like a weather report for an industry. It's a way for a company to see exactly where all the competitive storms and pressures are coming from. You see, these 5 forces are what really determine how tough and ultimately how profitable an industry can be. You've got to worry about new competitors jumping into your turf, powerful customers who can demand lower prices, suppliers who can charge you more, other products that could make yours obsolete, and of course, that constant slugfest with your direct rivals. So once you understand the battlefield, you have to make a choice. How are you going to compete? Broadly speaking, you've got 2 main paths. You can be the cost leader. Think of a company like Walmart, right? They offer decent products at the lowest possible price because they are masters of efficiency. Or you can differentiate yourself. Think of Apple. They create these unique premium products that people are happy to pay way more for. Okay, so whether you're a low-cost leader or a premium differentiator, once you've won at home, what's next? Well, it's often going global, and that adds a whole new layer of crazy complexity. This brings us to what we call the Great Global Balancing Act. On one hand, you feel this massive pull for global integration. This is the constant push to standardize everything, make the exact same product, the exact same way everywhere in the world, all to save money and be hyper-efficient. But on the other hand, you have this equally strong pressure for local responsiveness. This is the need to tweak your product to fit local tastes. Just think about a fast food menu in, say, India versus one in the US. You've got to decide which of these 2 forces is more important for your business. And this table just brilliantly lays out the 4 strategies that come from that constant tension. So if both pressures are low, you just export what you make at home. Simple. That's an international strategy. Now, if you have to adapt like crazy in every single country, you basically run each country as its own separate business. That's a multi-domestic strategy. If you decide to just ignore local tastes and go for pure, raw efficiency, you've got a global strategy. And the toughest one of all, the transnational strategy. This is where you try to do both at the same time. Be super efficient and locally responsive. It's the holy grail of global business. So you figured out your big picture strategy. Great. Now for the really practical part. How do you actually get your foot in the door of a new country? This is all about picking your entry strategy. This here lays out all the options perfectly. And you'll notice it's not a simple yes or no choice. It's a whole spectrum. On one end, you've got these low commitment, low control options, and way down on the other end, you have the high commitment, high control moves. We can actually group these choices into 3 big buckets. Low control is where you're kind of just dipping your toes in the water, like exporting. Moderate control is where you find a local partner to share the risk and the reward. And high control, that's when you go all in, building or buying your own operations in that new market.
Exporting is the classic starting point. It's simple, it's flexible, and it doesn't require a ginormous investment up front. You're basically just selling what you already make to someone in another country. It's the most common first step for a very good reason.
Next up, you've got contractual strategies like licensing or franchising. Here, you're not really selling a physical product. You're selling a right. You're selling the right for a foreign partner to use your brand name, your technology, or your entire business model. I mean, think about how McDonald's operates all over the world. It's a super clever way to expand fast without needing a ton of your own cash.
And then, all the way at the other end of the spectrum, we have the wholly owned subsidiary. This is the heavyweight, go big or go home move. You're either building a brand new facility from the ground up, or you're buying a company that's already there. This requires something called foreign direct investment, or FDI, and that just means you are directly investing in and controlling business operations in another country. It gives you total control, but yeah, it also means you're taking on all the risk.
So, as we've seen, every single one of these strategic choices, from how you compete to how you enter a new country, it all comes down to one central idea. It's a fundamental trade-off that every international manager has to wrestle with.
And this is the most crucial point of all. There is no free lunch. As this slide sums it up perfectly, if you want more control over what happens in another country, you have to commit more of your resources and take on way more risk. There's no single best strategy out there, only the one that's right for your company, your goals, and your stomach for risk. And finally, this classic quote from the historian Alfred Chandler reminds us that a great plan is only as good as your ability to actually pull it off. Your company's organization, its very DNA, has to be built to support the strategy you've chosen. You can't just pick a strategy from a menu. You have to build a company that can actually deliver on it.
So, as we wrap up, I'll leave you with this to chew on. Think about your favorite global brand. Looking back at what we've talked about, can you figure out which international strategy they follow? What kinds of entry modes did they use to get where they are today? And maybe most importantly, what did they have to put on the line to get there?